never used to think much about garlic beyond whether it made my breath smell bad after Italian food. But as someone who deals with health anxiety, I've found myself looking for anything and everything I can incorporate into my routine that might give me even a slight edge when it comes to feeling healthier and calmer about my body. Garlic, surprisingly, has turned out to be one of those simple, everyday things that makes me feel like I'm doing something proactive for my health, and in turn, that helps keep some of my health worries at bay. Garlic has been used for centuries as food and medicine. When I learned that, it caught my attention right away. My anxious brain always wants to jump to the worst-case scenario, but it also gets a bit of comfort from finding something natural and time-tested. Garlic has been written about in ancient texts, and it's even been used in traditional medicine across different cultures. That history alone makes me feel like I'm plugging into something much bigger than myself whenever I add garlic to my meals or take it as a supplement. Now, one of the main compounds in garlic is called allicin, and it's responsible for most of its benefits. The interesting thing is, allicin only forms when garlic is chopped, crushed, or chewed. It's like the plant's built-in defense system. For me, just knowing how it works makes me feel more in control. Instead of looking at garlic as just a seasoning, I look at it as this little powerhouse of natural support that I can unlock with just a few minutes of preparation. What does garlic actually do for me and my anxiety? Well, for starters, it's known to support the immune system. And if you're like me, someone who worries about every sniffle and every cough, then having something that strengthens my defenses makes me feel less vulnerable. If I know I've got garlic working in my system, I don't feel quite as panicked about catching the next bug that's going around. Garlic has also been shown to help with heart health, things like blood pressure, cholesterol, and circulation. And you know what that means for someone with health anxiety. So many times I've had little chest pains or moments where I thought my heart was racing, and immediately my brain screams, "Heart attack!" But when I remind myself that garlic supports cardiovascular health, it helps counter that spiral. There's also evidence that garlic has antioxidant properties and can reduce inflammation. Again, this is the kind of thing that helps me mentally as much as physically. Health anxiety often has me imagining damage happening inside my body that I can't see. Oxidative stress, inflammation, things I don't fully understand but worry about constantly. Garlic gives me a way to feel like I'm actively fighting those invisible threats instead of just sitting around and waiting for bad news. So how do I actually get garlic into my routine? The easiest way is through food. I keep fresh garlic bulbs in my kitchen, and I chop them up to add to almost anything: stir-fries, roasted vegetables, soups, or even salad dressings. The key is letting it sit for about 10 minutes after chopping before cooking, so the allicin has time to form. That was a game changer for me because it's easy to just throw garlic into a hot pan and lose a lot of its benefits. Letting it rest for a few minutes after chopping feels like a little ritual. It's simple, but it reminds me that I'm being intentional about my health. Of course, there are times when I just don't want the smell or the hassle. That's where supplements come in. There are odorless garlic capsules and aged garlic extracts that are widely available. Personally, I like to rotate between cooking with fresh garlic and taking a supplement, just so I feel like I've got my bases covered. For supplements, I always check the label to make sure they're standardized for allicin or made from aged garlic extract, since that's where the real benefits come from. One tip I've found helpful is taking garlic with meals. Not only does that reduce the chance of stomach upset, but it also makes me feel like I'm weaving it seamlessly into my daily life instead of making it this big, separate health task. And honestly, for someone with anxiety, convenience matters. There's another benefit I want to mention. Garlic has mild antibacterial and antiviral properties. I don't want to make it sound like garlic is some kind of magic bullet, because it's not. But as someone who has spent way too many nights Googling symptoms and convincing myself I've caught some horrible infection, garlic gives me reassurance. It's like an extra layer of defense, and even if that layer is thin, it helps calm my mind. I think that's the real value of garlic for someone with health anxiety. Yes, it has proven health benefits, but it's also symbolic. Every time I add garlic to my food or take my supplement, it's a reminder that I'm not powerless. I can make small, consistent choices that support my body. And those choices add up, not just in terms of physical health, but also in creating a mindset where I feel more grounded, less panicked, and more in control. Garlic isn't going to cure everything, and it's not a substitute for medical advice or treatment. But I found that when I stack garlic alongside other healthy habits, like exercise, sleep, hydration, and managing stress, it becomes part of this bigger system of reassurance. And honestly, reassurance is one of the most powerful tools against health anxiety. There are some caveats to keep in mind. Garlic can thin the blood, so if you're on certain medications like blood thinners, you should definitely check with a doctor before going heavy with supplements. For me, just knowing that I should be mindful about it has helped me feel like I'm not overdoing it. At the end of the day, garlic is one of the simplest, cheapest, and most accessible things I can use to support my health. It's not complicated, it's not expensive, and it doesn't require a prescription. That simplicity matters to me because health anxiety often thrives on complexity. My mind wants to create this web of scary scenarios, and garlic is like this grounding reminder that good health doesn't always have to be complicated. So if you're like me, always looking for little things that make you feel safer, stronger, and calmer about your health, garlic is worth trying. Whether it's fresh cloves in your cooking, an aged extract capsule in the morning, or just knowing that you're connected to centuries of people who used garlic as medicine, it's a small but powerful way to fight back against health anxiety.